Welcome to Circle of Hearts Radio. Journey with Grandmother Allayah as she enters her magical world of relics, sacred sites, and ancient crystal skulls. Meet with exciting trailblazer authors and individuals shifting the consciousness of humanity. Send her your questions to be answered on air on her monthly segment, Ask the Oracle. And now your host, Grandmother Allayah, in the sanctuary on the airwaves on Om Times Radio.
Welcome to the Circle of Hearts on Om Times Radio, and welcome to my sanctuary this Sunday. Today we have a different subject. I'm bringing on a very close friend of mine, somebody I admired a lot, is Gina O'Connor. And we're going to talk about trees, because a lot of people are recognizing that crystals are a consciousness in itself. And now that we're awakening and our perceptions are opening more, now we're starting to look at things in our environment, and trees are really starting to come forth. The ancients called them the standing ones. So today I have Gina with me, and a little bit on her background. Her educational spiritual background includes archaeology, art, geology, gemology, world religious traditions, Reiki, oneness, crystals, crystal skulls, earth energies, art, pottery, and painting, and jewelry making. And Gina is so humble, she goes, and I don't have any expertise or knowledge, and she's the most humble person I have, and I keep on telling her, with that background, are you kidding me? So hi, Gina.
Hi. Hi, Allayah. Nice to be here.
Yeah, and I'm really glad to have you. Like I said, Gina and I have been friends for a real long time. We had a few adventures together. But her focus has changed a little bit over the years since she's moved to the Netherlands. She's become more nature-orientated. And when she was living in the States and I first knew her, she got involved with relics and the crystal skulls and the crystal consciousness. From being from Arkansas, she was really tuned into that. So now, Gina, would you say that getting involved in Inca Shamanism, which is a new focus of yours, has brought more attention to nature?
I would say that nature has been a part of me since I was born. It's just come back for a full circle, so to speak. It's been brought to my attention that I need to be communicating with the plants and the trees more. I haven't given up on working with crystals. The house is full of crystals, and I still work with the crystal skulls as well. But I have to say that a couple of years ago, there was a shift for me. For whatever reason, I don't know, but I moved away from working solely with the crystal skulls and just working more with being outside in nature, and especially communicating with the trees. There was a sense of urgency that I felt somehow within myself for the healing. Mm-hmm. But on another level, it felt like that the trees wanted to communicate, and not just to me, but to everyone, and that it was somehow crucial to what's going on in the world right now.
Yeah, the trees are in a very important life form that's been here since creation, that we know of it.
Yeah, I mean, even in practically every creation story, there's the symbol of the tree. You have in the Garden of Eden, of course, the tree of knowledge and of good and evil, and you have the tree of life in the Kabbalah. You have trees are in just about every religion. They're seen as of utmost importance, as a source of wisdom, as a source of connection between heaven and earth. You know, the trees reach up into the heavens, yet they're fully grounded within the earth, and they're almost like antennas. They pick up the light and the energy coming from above and bring it down here to us below and all through the earth. They're like networks. So they're extremely sacred. They always have been.
I was going to say, when you were mentioning, I was thinking about that. They really are, the standing ones, are a connection between heaven and earth.
Exactly. And if you're into shamanic journeying, for instance, one of the ways that they teach people is that you can go through imagine yourself going through the roots of a tree to journey pretty much into any dimension that you would like to go to. They're like a map. They go out and you follow where they lead through the ground, but through other dimensions, and then they lead you back home too. And they bring you into a safe place. They don't just throw you out and then you're stuck there. You know, the way out and the way back in.
And they're very nourishing, really. If you really
Absolutely.
think of, the roots and bringing the water up, up through the trees and how they oxygenate. I guess there's really a lot of science to it also.
Yeah, there is a lot of science to it, and spirituality there. The thing is I really don't I don't believe that we could survive on this planet without them. And I mean that spiritually and I mean that physically. They give us everything. The plants and trees do. You know, we wouldn't be able to, if you think about it, everything is made from plants. And everything depends on plants. If it wasn't here, we wouldn't be here. They're much older than us. They came here earlier onto the planet. Actually, they came here on Earth. There was in the Precambrian times, there was an explosion of plant life on Earth. Mm-hmm. And after that time is when all the different forms of animals began to evolve. Because because of it lowered the temperature on Earth, and it provided the oxygen and things necessary, the food basically, for all animals to exist. So you could call them our ancestors, for sure. Most native traditions do.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you do look at the spirituality of it, and they provided the foundation for life.
Absolutely. And they did then and they still do. And not only that, I mean, they're extremely healing. I mentioned earlier that I had a feeling of needing healing within myself, and it was if they called out to me that I could find it with them. And it's been absolutely true. And the more that I've done it, the more I've found peace, and the more that they've begun to talk to me, and not just trees, but other plants and flowers, but especially trees. And I did move here to the Netherlands from the United States, and I can tell you I didn't really know many people here, and of course speaking the language has been difficult. But I can tell you that the trees here, all the plants, have been great friends to me in a place far from home.
Yeah, they sheltered you symbolically and nourished you.
Yeah.
I don't think people, like I said, on the next segment we'll talk about, like the science and how they're vital to the, environment. But before we have a break, if you, just listening to you, how you talk, how you said that the plants and the trees you know, they are life forms. And why, I don't know why maybe people are just starting to open up more on the idea of trees because, back in the 60s, you were a tree hugger or something.
Yeah, you have that, the tree hugging, and we still have that, and then you hear about the tree whisperers and it's coming around, but the more people that I connect with, the more I hear from people, they have similar experiences. It's not just me, but the thing that really touches my heart about the trees is that, yes, I've learned techniques from Reiki to connect with them, or from my teachers, the Inca Shamans, or from Native American traditions, from reading books, from Druidism. All these ways I've learned to communicate with them, but I don't need any of it because I can go through my direct experience, and that's what I really think is the most beautiful. Anyone can do it. Anyone can talk to them and benefit with or without a belief system or training.
Well, I know we're going to be heading into break, so I want everybody to, hold on to, stay with us in the next few segments because Gina's going to, talk to us about communicating. And this subject before is really important, even for children to understand, not just to look at things as, all right, well, there are these things outside our windows, or just really start to appreciate and see that everything is a life.
So they're beings for sure.
Well, like I said, I think we're going to be heading into a break here. I think I'm hearing music.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we'll come back and we'll talk about how the trees are vital to this planet. And everybody hold on.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. Om Times Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
The truth is, you can't change the world if you're broke. I know, I tried. Isn't it time you turned your life's calling into a profitable, freedom-based business? I'm Michelle Barr. Join me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Sacred Success.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. Om Times Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single Om Times endeavor. Host your show with Om Times Radio Network. Free your mind. Expand your soul. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Well, back with my friend Gina O'Connor, we're talking about trees, and I'm glad she's on because this is such an important subject as we're all becoming more aware of things, to really look and see that everything around us is energy, everything around us is life, and this is important for the children to start learning. And the more people hear about these things and the more people start thinking about them, they're not afraid to talk about them, or they're not afraid to maybe look at a tree and maybe try to hear its voice or to feel its energy. But we're going to start in this segment a little bit more about the basics, about how trees are so important to our planet at this time. Gina, any place you want to start with this? Or?
Well, yeah. First of all, I'd like to mention why I feel it's important and why I would like to talk about it. The simplest thing is I made a promise to the trees that I would help them. And when I'm someone's friend, I'm loyal to them. I like to keep my promises. And I know that when you work with trees, or any plants, when you make a promise, they expect you to keep it. They really do. So they don't look at our schedules and the reasons and excuses why we wouldn't follow through, because they've helped me so much. I want to help them. And in the meantime, I know that it's important for the rest of the people on Earth and the planet itself. But as spirits, they're my friends, and I want to give them a voice if I can, or I want people to learn how to talk to them wherever they are. It's a lost art in many ways. There are people who are doing this on Earth now. There are many indigenous people who communicate with nature, but in regular modern Western society, you wouldn't. Just like you mentioned. People might think you're a little strange if they see you talking to a tree or hugging it or, something like that. Even I, here in the Netherlands, I'm walking my dog, and there I am talking to a tree, and I see people look at me a bit strangely sometimes. But
open about it, and talking makes people, they may have wondered themselves. I mean, look when the crystal skulls first came out.
Yeah. And the same thing with them. I felt that I was an ambassador for them, and now I feel the same way. I feel that I would like to be at least a humble ambassador for the trees and plants. Yes. And let me just start out with a few ways that some people might relate to, at least scientifically speaking, because it's not all just the spiritual aspect about it that's important, I think, as far as when we're talking about why is it crucial to the world. For some of these things people will have heard of, and maybe, but just hearing them all together, I think is really going to make an impact and show really why they're so important. Mm-hmm. First of all, they're going to be always helping us with the climate to improve the air quality for us. They help to conserve water. They harbor all kinds of wildlife and other plant life. Of course, they're modifying the effects of the sun, the wind, the rain. If you live in an area where it rains a lot and there are no trees, you're more likely to have flooding. If you live in an area where there's a lot of wind, there's not going to be much protection against that unless you have some trees. And the same with the sun. They provide a lot of shade. They absorb the sun. They reflect it. And they filter the air pollution. So if you're living in a city with no trees and your lungs are going to suffer. But if you live in a city and you have a lot of old trees around you, they help improve the quality of life so much. They filter the air pollution. They bring down the stress level. It's known that if there are trees alongside of a highway or a road, there's actually a lot less road rage. They've measured this. There are less people getting into accidents. Just seeing the green does something to your eyes. It lowers your blood pressure and your stress level. It automatically makes you feel calmer. Smelling the trees, they have certain healing properties. Each one has a different healing property. And, you don't have to just ingest it, making something out of the leaves or the bark. Just smelling the air around them gives a healing effect. The main thing is they've noticed that it intensifies healing. It speeds up the healing process, just like Reiki does. So it calms your whole system down. Actually, in places, in towns where there are more trees, there's a lot less violence in general, a lot less crime. They help to conserve energy. Like I said, they prevent soil erosion. They provide all kinds of food and medicine. I mean, we wouldn't be able to exist with most of the products that we have if it weren't for the trees. And they simply are our teachers. I mean, on the spiritual level, you can ask them questions, and if you learn to listen, they will answer you. And that's how medicine men and women have for eons learned about medicine. They've gone to a plant itself, and the plant would pass on its information through songs or through just the way that person receives information. Maybe you see flashes or you hear words. And that's what's happened with me. They've begun communicating, and they'll tell you what they're good for as far as the medicine.
I was going to say, that makes a lot of sense, because if you think of early medicine, either plant medicine or, like you say, even with the trees, I mean, the sap provides for the blood of the standing ones. But the sap in New England provides nourishment, or tree resin turns into amber, or without trees, you have desert. There's just
Exactly.
Even like you were saying, they host so many things.
All kinds of animals, and actually they have advanced communication system amongst themselves that goes through their roots and fungal network. We humans, we take care of ourselves. We take care of ourselves and our family. Well, the trees take care of their own species of family as well. But not only that, they are willing to help the rest of the trees in the environment as well. They share information. They actually have systems that help protect when there's like a danger of some kind of a pest or bad weather. They will send signals through the ground, through the fungal network, to the other trees in the area, and so that they'll be alerted and they can help protect themselves as well.
How did that? I find that fascinating. How do people find out that they have this system? Is it just
they studied their? I'm not sure all the scientific ins and outs, but they basically studied their mitochondrial network and the way that the roots responded to things. One interesting thing that I read not long ago was that there's someone that's looking into how to advance technology, internet technology, and things like that, networks. So they wanted to study trees and tree networks, the roots. And they noticed that when there was like a rock or something in the way of a root, the root didn't have to actually come upon it and touch it before it went around it. It was able to anticipate the rock or whatever it was blocking it and go around it ahead of time, and that it actually had a form of intelligence that would repeat itself. So it would remember that rock a month later, a year later, whatever, and it would know that it needs to go around that, so it can anticipate things that are about to happen. It has that form of intelligence. And some people say, oh, well, we're much better than the trees. We have brains, and you can't compare, the brain of a human to a vegetable, so to speak, and like an insult. But actually, from what I understand, the brain, as a tree would have it, is the network of roots under the ground, and some trees actually share the roots, like aspen trees. If you see maybe 100 aspen trees in one area, a grove, they're actually one organism. And these organisms' roots can spread out all over the place, for hundreds of miles. And that's a brain. It's much bigger than ours. It's just not inside a skeleton. It's not inside a skull.
Yeah, I was going to say that's really fascinating, because if you look at just how they repopulate themselves, in areas of forest and stuff, and to think, well, there's this central intelligence of...
There is. And apparently, from what I understand, and have felt myself in the presence of some of these trees, the biggest trees they're like mother trees, and they take care of the rest. They're able to take care of and teach the younger ones how to be. They share the food and the nutrients, and they just have a much more complex system. They've been...
Oh, that's good. We're going to continue that.
Yeah, I guess the music's coming on, so I'll stop for the moment.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. Om Times Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Know what to do, just can't figure out how to fit it all into your busy life? It doesn't have to be that way. Hi, I'm Alan Baisberg from Seamless Life. Join me every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on Om Times Radio and learn the how of conscious living. Let me and my guests help make your life seamless.
Dr. Kevin here, and I want to invite you every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, to join me on the Dr. Kevin Show, where we have a diversity of guests who help you step outside the box, behind the curtain, and see what a load of crap is going on in the world today, so you have more information with which to make better decisions. We'll see you there. Namaste.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. Om Times Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single Om Times endeavor. Host your show with Om Times Radio Network. Free your mind. Expand your soul. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Well, we're back talking with Gina O'Connor, and we're going to start talking about communication. But even just listening to the show, I've learned so much myself, because I love trees. I have trees all around me, and when I walk out of the house, I have trees I can always touch. But we're talking about communication. do the trees know that they have a certain lifespan? Because I always feel bad. Like I have these huge 100-foot trees over my house. I mean, they've been here for maybe 100 years.
Yeah.
And, the limbs start to go.
Mm-hmm.
Or you get a storm. And, one of these huge monsters, which has happened to us with the hurricanes, has, fallen over and, wipes out all the electrical in the town, which does not make us too popular. But,
well, I'll do my best to answer that question. I think, first of all, I want to say that just like people, every different tree has its own personality and may answer that question in a different way. And even amongst the same kinds of trees, like all the pines or all the oaks or all the maples, it's not like they're all the same either. Each individual oak, each individual pine is going to have its own unique personality. So, yeah, you would have to ask them. But what I feel is that trees are, in many ways, they're not like us. They don't think of only themselves. They take care of each other, and they think about the future. They think about their children. And, I mean, yes, we do that as well, but that's where they live on when the seeds spread. Mm-hmm. And then their offspring can survive. Then parts of them are surviving as well. And even plants that are on one continent to another continent. The birds are very connected to the trees. Obviously, it's their home for the most part, and they're interrelated. They are dependent on the food, but the birds, of course, and other things will spread the seeds for these trees. So that they are very cooperative.
I know we're only touching upon so many, just the tops of subjects.
Mm-hmm.
But what you had mentioned about when they think about their children, is it possibly at some point, like when these trees, let's say they're in the States, not like the huge redwoods or out in that area.
Yeah.
The normal lifespan of a tree, that maybe it will start regenerating itself or repopulating itself, and then it's okay if it decides to go. I don't know how to explain
I think that's a yes and a no. Like I said earlier, the biggest trees are the ones that help the environment and help each other the most. They're like a mother tree that can take care of a whole neighborhood, for instance, because their roots are longer, but they're able to provide more nutrients, and I feel that their spirit is even stronger in a sense. I mean, when you walk up to a huge tree, you can feel it. It's like for some people they feel that awe inside of a church. For me, I go up to a huge tree and I'm much more overwhelmed.
It's a very calming effect.
Yeah, and I don't mean overwhelmed in the sense of that, but just in awe, and just that it's a very sacred being that has so much wisdom, more wisdom than I could ask for, from such a being. I read someone was asking about reincarnation in trees, and I was reading that they actually each year, you have a different tree ring, and when you cut a tree down, you see all the rings, and the oldest ones you can count for thousands of years, and in that sense, they were trying to make a comparison that they were already reincarnating inside themselves each year. It's like they have many lives in one. And I thought that was a really interesting thing to think about, because they're standing in one place, yet, and they have all this wisdom and such patience over hundreds of years. They live much longer than we do in that sense most of the time.
Yeah, it's a really amazing subject, and I think you're really opening people's minds to actually stop and think. That when they see a tree, it's not, well, all right, it's this thing that I have to rake leaves up, or
No,
or something.
But the thing is like most people, they probably remember a favorite tree that they had seen at some point in their life. I know many people can think back to their childhood. I certainly can. I can track the time from, I don't know, maybe 5 years old or so when I had my favorite tree. And I didn't know why it was my favorite tree, but it was one that I came back to over and over. Mm. And that's what I find is really important in tree communication, is that you gain the trust, just like any friendship. You get to know it over time. You don't just go up to some tree and say, hey, tell me this and tell me that.
Right.
I think the spirit of the tree would be, hey, slow down a bit. We don't know each other yet. So I think what's really nice with the communication is if you can go back over and over to the same tree and get to know it and gain its trust and open up to it more and more. And that's one of the keys to doing it, is repetition. I feel you'll have a lot more success if you have the patience, and even see it how it is in the spring, and what does it look like in the summer and the winter. You really get to know it like a close friend.
Yeah, I think that's really, really important for us to make out that, as human beings, we're starting to recognize ourselves as spiritual beings. That there was something outside this physical body.
And yeah, you just reminded me of something I've been thinking about a lot lately. And, when I was working more with crystal skulls, I would do crystal skull readings, and I would get messages from the skulls. Well, the technique is really not that different in communicating with anything, whether it be a regular crystal or a plant or something else. The technique is really to shut down your thoughts as much as you can. So meditation is helpful. And just listen and figure out what signs that you have yourself. Like for me, I might hear a song and I think, some people would think, the tree's not saying anything. I have this stupid song going through my head. Well, actually, that can be the tree speaking to you. It could be giving you that song. You just have to trust yourself and realize that when you hear a word or you hear a song or you see a flash in your mind, that's something to pay attention to. And that's the biggest thing I would have to offer about communicating with trees or anything spiritually, is to just have an open mind and trust yourself and trust your own signals, because your signals might not be like what you read about in this how to do this kind of book. Maybe I hear songs and someone else sees a painting. Mm-hmm. You have to develop your own inner language, and then you can share that language with the trees. So that, and it works with crystals, it works with crystal skulls, and it works with trees. But that's the biggest thing. And what I've also learned that's really important, and maybe I'm talking a little fast, but I'd like to get it in for people, is to give back. My teachers, the Inca Shamans from Peru, the Q'eros, one of the biggest things that they've taught us is that we need to give back to Mother Nature, because we just take. Humans, we think the world is our oyster and we can just suck up all the resources, and that nothing has a spirit, so we don't have to worry about it. and we can just keep figuring out how to keep going this way. But native peoples, they realize that there needs to be a balance, and that has to do with respect and giving back to nature. So in terms of trees, what you can do is you can bring gifts, you can bring offerings, you can bring, for instance, I've given a tree a little crystal of my own. You can give the Inca Shamans, they talk about giving rock salt and lodestone, that the trees, they found trees like that. You can give tobacco or sage, a little food or flowers, but this lets the spirit of the tree know that you don't want to just take, that you're there for a balanced relationship, which is something I've already told you that they're all about, is balance and giving. And for us to be respected, I think we need to give back in kind. So I think that they're going to become much more open if you were to give them a gift such as this. And one technique I can offer is by Montauk Chia. It's a form of Qigong. Mm-hmm. But it's a really simple thing that you can do. You go up to a tree, and right where you start to see the leaves on the canopy of the tree, that's where you stop. You don't rush in to go hug the tree or anything like that. You stop where the edge of the tree is, where the leaves are, the branches. And you smile at your own heart.
I was going to say, Gina, hold on to that thought. Let's.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. Om Times Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. Simone Milasas would like you to know that business can be fun, which is why she wrote the book, Joy of Business. What if you could have the joy of business rather than the stress and struggle? Most of the time, the only thing stopping you from a thriving business is you. In the Joy of Business book, Simone gives you access consciousness tools and pragmatic ways to get out of your own way and to create the business, life, and living you know is possible and beyond what this reality says is achievable. Business is joy. It's creation. It's generative. It can be the adventure of living. You can purchase your copy of the book through Amazon or Joy of Business website, www.accessjoyofbusiness.com.
Matt Connerton here. Join Jen Coffey and I twice a week for Matt Connerton Unleashed, a political talk show that's a little different than what you're used to. No liberal or conservative agenda here, just an honest dialogue about truth and how things really work in the world of politics. Matt Connerton Unleashed, every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern on Om Times Radio.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on Om Times Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Free your mind. Expand your soul. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Well, Gina, the last few minutes of our segment here, and time does go quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does. Surprisingly.
It's really important what you started to say, so that's why I'd like you to start again, okay?
Yeah, I'll recap on that. This is actually a way to share energy with a tree. And when you share that energy, you may well feel it, or you might also hear messages, have some sort of a communication. But this is a technique taught by Mantak Chia, who works with the Qigong. Many people have heard of him. But it's a really simple thing anyone can do. What you do is you approach a tree. He recommends that you approach a younger tree because, according to him, they're easier to talk to. I don't find that in my own experience, but you can take that or leave it. But walk up to the edge of the, don't go up to the tree and start hugging it. What you want to do is stay on the outer part of the tree and stand right where the leaves end as you look up. And that's, if you were to try to feel it with your hands, you probably are going to feel that's almost like the edge of its aura. You really start to feel more of a difference there. You're tingling. But that's where you'd like to stand. Then you want to stay in your heart and not just in your head. And you want to raise your energy. Well, one way to do that is a technique where you smile at your heart. So before even communicating with the tree in any way or connecting to it, you're going to smile at your own heart and expand the energy of that smile and that joy from your heart, so that the energy of your heart is, if it was close to your body at first, that it would be at least arm's length out afterwards. Just push that joy and love outwards. That's where you begin. That's the most important thing. Then you can ask the permission of the tree if the tree would like to participate in this activity and see if there's a yes or a no. If there's a yes feeling, then what you can do, you can go ahead and you will take the your own you feel your crown chakra, and you start to project your aura above that. You start to project it up and outward and over to the top of the crown of the tree. And you visualize that the energy is going down into the leaves and down through the trunk and down into the roots of the tree, and from the roots of the tree into your feet. And you pull that energy up through your body, up through your whole body and spine, up through your head, and out through the top of your crown. And you keep doing that. And this is how you can share the energy of the tree and increase your own vitality, health, and raise your frequency. And it also benefits the tree. Just like we breathe in and out oxygen and carbon dioxide, and with them, it's a very reciprocal action. It's a very natural action to share with them this energy. And it will greatly, it will really make you feel better even in that moment. You can even ask for a specific healing if you want, but you can just share and just connect with the tree that way. So that's one technique anyone could try.
I think overall the whole subject is for people. I mean, you might, wherever they are in the world, we have some city dwellers here. They're going, right, we're going to go up and do this. No, I think the whole lesson here is to see everything as a living organism, as a spirit, and it's something that the trees are so vital to our planet. People are really trying to get that message across, along with Gina. Without
and it's for free. I mean, really, you don't have to go and go to a workshop and pay a lot of money, or you don't have to buy an expensive crystal skull. You can just go outside. It doesn't matter how much money you have, where you are on Earth. There are hopefully going to be trees there, and you can have that interaction with them, that healing and real deep friendship. And even I found when I've moved away, I miss, there were favorite trees that I had. I can't take them with me, you know. But what I found out from communicating with the trees is that they are still in touch. You can still connect with them from a distance. You can connect with them through a photo, but just etherically and spiritually connect with them. And with other people. You can even send, if you work with the trees for healing. I had an experience a couple of years ago where someone in my family was ill. And I was very worried about her. And so I went to the tree for healing, but she's over in the U.S. and here I am in the Netherlands. And I wanted to hear from the tree, how can I help? What can we do? And what I heard at that moment was that the tree was actually like an antenna, that it can connect all the way across the world with that healing, better than most things, because they are natural networkers, and that healing could be sent long distance through the tree, increasing it. You know, you can do distance Reiki and things like this, but with the help of the tree, it just makes it, I don't know how many times stronger, but it's
like a booster.
Yeah, exactly. It really just poof, you know. And of course, this was an old tree. What I found out at that time I was working with one tree was that it didn't want me to just work with it. It had two siblings nearby, and they formed a triangle, and it wanted me to work within that triangle at first. And then it began to show me how it was helping people and other trees in that area, almost like waves going out. And working with these trees over and over, I found out that they had this idea. The trees wanted to be working with what they call a healing field. That you don't want to work with just one singly. I mean, you can, but they don't. But that's not how they operate. They want to extend that energy as a network through ley lines, because you know we think of sacred sites on ley lines and things like this, but trees have many times have been considered sacred sites in and of themselves, and are on the ley lines, and you can create ley lines from them to project the healing grid.
I was going to getting into the last 5 minutes of the show. One thing I want to actually, reinforce that you're saying, which is so important, is we always hear we are the ancestors. We have come back. So I think even in this day and age, we gotta start remembering and recognizing life and energy forms as it is, and starting to respect it, because we're all entangled together on this planet, and if you abuse one, it's going to affect the whole ecosystem, just whether it's the trees or the waters or the crystal, the land. I mean, I
think we just need to stop looking down at our iPhones and just look up around at nature that's all around and see the spirit there and give it the respect that it deserves. I say, but give credence to its intelligence, and that that we have a lot to learn from it, and that we can't just keep cutting all these trees down for no reason in these towns when they're healing us and helping us and preventing things, the violence and the wars. I mean, that sounds a little bit far-fetched, like, are they preventing wars? But if you look at each microcosm, each city where there's more peacefulness in neighborhoods and less violence, and the boundaries aren't so, one person fighting against another and everyone's getting along, then yes, that's the message of the trees, and that's what we need to learn. And yes, if we listen, these are spiritual messages that can definitely help improve our lives and potentially save the planet itself. I really believe it in every way.
Yeah, it's not far-fetched. It really is. When you hear somebody speak about it, I mean, this is not getting political. I mean, you look at the Middle East.
Yeah,
There's not a whole lot of trees there.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, but it's not just trees. There's other plants and things like that. I just think it's a matter of education, and it won't take much. Just like you mentioned, working with the children, getting their hands in the dirt and planting trees. It starts when they're young. That respect and that openness, communication.
I think your words are really very wise. Get our noses out of the computers and the iPhones and the games and start really having the children and the adults look around you and see and appreciate life. Now, I know we only got a few minutes. Where can people get hold of you?
We have a website. It's called internationalspiritualexperience.com. And my partner Bart and I both work with the trees. We have different workshops and things, interesting things on the website, and you can sign up on the website and contact us through there. I'm also on Facebook, and Bart is on Facebook. It's Gina O'Connor. That's my.
Well, thank you. Yeah,
thank you.
So she really hard.
Thank you.